Oh, I think
We all Gucci up in here.
I had to reset my laptop so like live, but like
Do it live. Today I learned that you can have like a Discord overlay in game in Legends. That's pretty cool. I guess I'm too much of a boomer and I didn't know that.
what about now? Now it can hear me.
Like your stream, you mean?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Are we in
Unplug.
business?
Yeah, I guess so. I just plugged in and unplugged my headphones. I guess Studio is like, okay, yes, I am good with that. I will take as payment
Nice.
for whatever. Anyway, yeah, so that's good to go. Good.
Back with another episode of Life Lessons with Shadow and Ross. Don't
That
play workshop.
what you want to call it? Like, I mean, TESL Talk.
Oh, TESL Talks.
Yeah. In it, there will
Man,
be
this is
life
a
lessons, and we will also encourage you not to play workshop because that's
yes.
trash.
I feel like that's a
So
disservice to trash, actually. This is a cool
anyway,
week. We're doing 2 episodes instead of 1.
yeah, no, let's go. Honestly, I wouldn't mind.
I know. Well, and I couldn't do one last week because of scheduling things and the U.S. Army, but
Like cool shit, apparently.
hey, man, you can immigrate and join up if you want.
Yeah, I don't know what for the price of not having to live in the Wild West. Even though our middle
Oh, come
class
on,
is
it's fun. You get to
getting
do all sorts of push-ups
crushed.
and running and stuff.
Cool without it.
I am good, he says. Had enough of that. That's good.
Anyway,
It's good for you. Builds
it
character.
is good for you. It's a lot of different reasons. Character's a big one. Anyway, onto the
Right
topic
quick
of
before we get into it, um, do you want to start off like usual and you'll just be like playing some, or in the
yeah.
meantime, like
I'll just queue up and then you can kind of
okay.
you can give us the breakdown of what you want. Mainly the points that you have are mainly from you. Kind of talk. I think that'll work.
Oh yeah, I mean you can react to stuff I'm bringing up and
Oh,
I'll, ask you for
yeah,
your
definitely.
take on it or whatever, like.
Yeah, no, for
And I
sure.
mean, I certainly don't have a monopoly in the community or even on this podcast on like having finished top 10 for ladder, so it will
Yeah,
be a
no,
collaboration.
yeah, no, no, for sure. It's just like you have the points though, so I'd rather it's better that you bring. I can be like, oh yeah, and on top.
Not only are they fresh in my head, but I did some homework and actually wrote down a little list so I could remember slash not forget. All right, so yeah, the topic we are going to talk about tonight is any and everything to do with um, trying to achieve a top 10 ladder finish. What that experience is like, how to do it, um, kind of tips and tricks for those listeners or viewers who may kind of be close but not have been able to do that yet. Um, what the heck? Why can't I spectate your game? It said like internal server error or something, and I was like, what is going on? All right, here we go.
It's like, nah,
So
man, can't be done.
I don't know, when the average person like started playing the game, but all I know is that like when they released this card back that both you and your opponent have for like players who are able to finish in the top 10 each season, that really like grabbed my attention. I was like, "Oh, I've got to have that." Like I
I
know
think
I'm
it.
not good enough right now, but
I think it kind of made everybody like it kind of changed what it meant to finish top 10. It's like now I have a stats
definitely.
card. Now I have like something that I can actually show off and be like, oh, like
Yeah, it's a major flex, especially like when only a few people, had it the first however many months. And some people would, go for multiple and try to like keep not necessarily gatekeep, but like, make other
oh
people earn it and work for it so that it
yeah.
remained something that was like, kind of a status dealio.
I mean, even now
I mean,
it's still difficult to get for like, the regular person that doesn't play all the time and stuff like that. But
for
like
sure.
I don't know, it doesn't. I don't know. I'm not gonna say it means
It's
less.
difficult for us too. I mean, I don't care who you are. There's months where it is insanely hard to do it.
Yeah, last month was pretty.
But I also
Uh,
love months like that where it's like such a challenge. Like brings out the best in competitive players, I think. Um,
well,
I
it's nice
mean,
that the
on
game
one,
can still be competitive, right? In general, like
yes,
normally,
absolutely,
you get a little tired of fighting the same shit over and over, and people on the. I know this guy. I know his.
absolutely.
A lot of them
So
are
on one
on the
hand, I mean,
same list that they always.
oh yeah, like this person you're against. I just realized like who it was and that they're still on Goblin Scout as a
Well,
random aside.
he has been playing actually other stuff.
Yeah, I think you told me that. I always match them on Goblin Scout, but it is what it is. So I mean, for those, I mean, I'm sure everyone has by now seen this card back, but I mean, on the one hand, it's like probably, I don't know, I feel like we agree it's like the best looking card back. Like
I think so.
they did a really good job with it. So even beyond just like, the flex of like I was for at least 1 month or one season, among the best 10 players that were playing that season that month, like in the entire world. But I mean, I've always liked about this game, like the cool looking cards or alt art or like premium art or even the cool looking card backs just to kind of collect, and the adds to the aesthetic of the game. So when that happened, that made me like, okay, I don't know what it's going to take. I don't know how long it's going to take, but I have to have it. I have to earn it. I want to, even more than before, become like one of the best players. In part because I want to get this card back. I honestly don't remember if it like was as much of a thing before they released that to like try to get in the top 10 or not. I don't know if you remember or not, but
As far as I was concerned, I thought it. I don't know when they released it. It might have been during one of my breaks, but I remember like seeing the card back, and I was like, "Oh, I want to! I want to basically put that on, and
yep.
what I need to achieve to get it." And I was like, "Fuck! All right, well, I guess we have to get good," and kind of how that
Time
went.
to get good. Um, yeah, I mean, what was I even gonna say? I hate losing my train of thought.
Guy's got a fucking hand watch. He's gonna drop racer. Yeah.
Of course,
Okay.
always.
F race.
Yeah. So,
Skirmisher on fucking.
um, I mean, one of the things I wrote down is like just a little background on like I at that point in time kind of became like borderline unhealthily obsessed with like that goal I set for myself. Like, and so I don't want, anyone who's listening or gonna view this, on YouTube or whatnot to like um, set an unrealistic or unattainable goal for themselves or a goal that is going to like be prioritized over their own mental health or like family or stuff like that because that's not good. It's just a video game. Like on the one hand, like who really cares, if you have the card back or if you've ever been in the top 10 players for a season or not. Like there's bigger, more important things in real life, right? Like, but on the other side of the coin, to kind of
You don't have
play
the
the devil's
top 10
advocate.
card back, then you're nothing. No, I'm
No,
joking. I'm joking. I'm
no.
totally kidding.
I guess what I
No.
was gonna like, if you're gonna be spending however much time that you spend playing the game, anyways, why not, shoot for the stars and try to like achieve something that will be memorable to you or that will be just this awesome feeling, and then you can kind of like have something to show for all that time that you're putting into this game beyond just, oh, I played 500 hours of the game or 1,000 hours of the game or whatever. Like,
Yeah, not
um,
only that, but it's like I kind of want to see some faces up here. Go. I'm all
let's
for it.
go. Um, I mean, probably not every single person that like has ever played this game is going to be able to like finish in the top 10 for ladder. And again, I'll acknowledge that like there's not just the card back for ladder, there's also for arena. And I haven't played all that much arena. Like I know how it works. If I wanted to, I could probably get pretty decent at it just from like playing the game for a long time. I don't like the long wait times, and like I don't know, I'm a creature of habit, so I stick to like ladder and events and then tournaments when they happen. But maybe sometime we can have someone on who's like an arena expert if you
Yeah,
don't feel like you are.
like shake it.
Yeah,
Be
I was
like
thinking of both of them actually.
perfect example. I
Yep.
think.
Yeah, so maybe, look forward to that in the future. If you're watching this, we can maybe do one that's more geared towards like arena and the best ways to approach arena and like, achieving top 10 for that or whatnot.
Yeah,
But
we can't
this is
really
going to
tell
be
you.
focused more on like ladder.
We can't really help you out with when it comes to the arena, but we can definitely help you when it comes to the
um, so yeah, I mean like you may not be able to do it right away if this is the goal that you're going to set for yourself, and you need to like be realistic about that so you're not setting yourself up for like disappointment or failure or whatnot. But like this might sound weird, but like if I can do it, like so can you, right? I mean, when I started playing this game, I'd never played a
Shadow is dog shit when you. That's just,
absolute garbage.
yeah, that's what
Like I'd
he'll
never
tell
played a
you.
CCG before. I literally like almost wanted to throw my phone through the wall because I couldn't even beat like the campaign missions and stuff like that. Not even other humans. Like I was
Yeah, like
struggling
that's pretty
at first
bad.
with the AI. So if I, coming from that background, you know, have now finished in the top 10 for ladder 14 different times, um, and been very close, like top 20 several, handful of other times, but fell out in the last minute because I was chasing number one or, whatever, instead of just camping my spot, which is like a smarter way to go about it. But I mean, at this point,
If there was a reward for like multiple top tens and stuff, you'd probably be more conscious about doing something like that.
right. It'd be cool if you're like
Once you have the top 10, like the only other goal that you really realistically set for
top
yourself
one,
is to
yeah.
get the number one. And if you don't get the number one and whatever, you're not going to lose anything from not getting top 10 that season. You're like, even if I fall out, it's not a get it,
Yeah, they don't
you know,
take your card
going
back away.
going out in a blaze of glory, right? At the end of the day,
Yeah,
that's how
sometimes.
I look at it.
So yeah, I mean, like now, not everyone is me and has this weird kind of like combination of like competitiveness from growing up in a big family and, you know, fighting and competing and playing games against all my siblings and against people in sports and stuff, but also like that combined with this kind of weird uh insecurity or what's the word I was
What's the first thing you want to talk about in terms of like what to kind of like try to do prepare yourself?
Yeah, so part of it is going to be like mental toughness, like you were kind of bringing up with like what Schwartz said, like every single person that plays ladder competitively is going to go through rough patches where the game seems to be set against you, right? Like, and you have to be able to not let that like make you tilt or throw you off your game. So there's different ways to mitigate that, whether it's taking a break, whether it is, kind of switching up your decks, whether it is having someone else kind of mentor you or spectate you and kind of like see if they're picking up something that you're kind of missing, get a second pair of eyes on it or whatever. Um, and that is something that's going to get in people's way. Like let's say you play a lot at the beginning of the month and you get into the top 10 by virtue of just no one else is even in the legend ranks yet, and it's kind of easier if you really play a lot and play well at the beginning of the month.
Yeah,
It can be pretty disappointing to get knocked out and to like kind of fall out and then struggle to get back in there or whatever, but it's definitely doable. And you've got to not let setbacks, throw you off your game to where it's going to get in your head and you just like, oh, I can't even do it now. It's not worth going for, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah. Honestly, like, and like I said, like I've said this before, probably on stream and other things, but it's like, guys, like there was a season where I just did so bad in like the last like
Oh
week.
yeah.
I did so bad, and I was like, fuck it, and I took a break from the game for like a day and a half. Just said, fuck it, I'm gonna else, and no, not even gonna try for the. And then like something just kind of came over me, and I was like, you know what? I was like, at least I'm gonna see how high I can get on the ladder. And I was like
Sure.
420 or something. I ended up finishing at like 20 something, but I got as high as like 16 on the
Which
ladder
is
in like the last 10
bonkers.
hours. The last like 10
Absolutely
hours.
insane.
So
Because
like
the last day is
if I can do
the
something
hardest
like
day.
that, then you guys can do, if you're like, oh, at 50 or something, and you're like, oh, I'm not even close to the top 10. I can't, like, don't let that be in the hundreds and still finish in the top 10 if you do really well on the last day. It just depends on a lot of different factors, but obviously knowing what to play, knowing how to play what you're playing, and matchups and stuff are a huge thing. But at the end of the day, it's just being confident, being able to
Yes.
do that.
Believing you can do it.
You know? Yeah, like
I've
you gotta
seen, I can't
prove
remember
to
his name. I wish I
yourself
could.
that you can do it. But
Well, because you can, like, you absolutely can, and you can't just forget that because you're going through a rough patch. I can't remember his name. There was a guy on my friends list back in the day. He ended up joining ACV, but I was friends with him before that. He might have joined the clan before I did, but he, the first time he got top 10, I was actually spectating him at the end of the last day. There was like less than an hour left, maybe less than half an hour. Like he was at number 11 and had won several games at number 11 and couldn't move up. And like literally he did not have time for another game after the game that he ended up winning, and he beat someone that was pretty good. I can't remember exactly who it was. And he went from number 11 to number 3 with one win.
yeah,
And
because when you hit that wall at like it's either at like 11 or wherever it is, like when you hit that wall, it basically it's like a jump almost, right? So you have to hit so many times, and then once you finally break through, it's like you break through
you get a
with
big, yeah,
momentum,
big
and you have
jump.
a huge fucking jump. Yeah, that's usually the way.
It depends too on how close in ELO everyone is, but like that month, for whatever reason, everyone was right there in a cluster, and he just, leapfrogged more than half of the top 10 with one win after he had already, won some games at 11. So that you're never out of the fight. Like you got to fight to the end, and like if you end up having been close, and like let's say 2 days before the month ends, you're at like number 3 or number 5 or something, and you end up not making it that month. That's happened to me before, and it can feel obviously super bad, disappointing. But like, don't give up.
Definitely,
Like, don't
definitely
think that
defeating
that
to.
means you're never
Yeah.
gonna do it. Like,
If you did
you
it
can
once,
always
you
come
can do
back
it again.
stronger.
If you did it once, you can do it
Yes,
again, right? That's just the way it is.
and
And
even if you've done it 0 times, you can do it. Like,
the only person that's stopping you at the end of the day, and this is gonna sound like some weird motivation type shit, but like truth, the only person that's stopping you, obviously the other people that are trying to get there too, but like ultimately you set the goal and you tell yourself you can or cannot do it. And at
yep.
the end of the day, if you don't think that you can do it, then you're not gonna be able to do it. But if you think you can and you know you can and you actually like you're like, you know what, I've gotten good. I have my these are my lists. These are my best lists. I'm going to give it a fucking actual effort this season to try and get
Mm-hmm.
there, and you'll get there. If you need help, I'm, I have helped a bunch of people. I don't mind helping if you really want, like,
Same here.
spectate you or whatever. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Help with, I can even
Yeah, deck
kind
codes,
of sit
whatever,
in and
piloting tips.
watch. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Little things like that. Things that you take for granted that you would probably need for whatever reason, whatever purpose. You need help, reach out. The guy that asks for help.
Honestly,
It's
the thing
better
that
to
helped me the most, and me and Najaro got our first top 10 the same month, and like having someone that was going for the same thing and like being an encouragement and almost like a cheerleader. Because I
mm,
mean, when like he kind of had to talk me off the edge of the cliff sometimes where I'm like, you know what, I'm just done. I'm never playing this game again. I'm going to uninstall it. This is trash. I've hit five prophecies every single game for like
yeah,
5 games in a row. Like, he's like, no, you got this, dude. You totally got this. Come on, next game you're going to win. I believe it. I know it. And then I would win the next game, and I would try to do the same for him, and we both ended up getting it like that same month, and it was awesome. Like,
yeah,
so yeah, that's a
that's
good
a good story.
point. Like, finding someone, it doesn't have to be one of us, although feel free to add either of us, and we will more than be willing to help you out. If you have someone that's already on your friends list, or you want to like try to join a clan and get, kind of a group of people's expertise or like tips or advice or little tricks that they've had from any of them that have done it before. Um, can't recommend that enough. And that kind of goes along with the point of like having a mentor, like I mentioned. Like, again, one person can only like keep track of so many things, especially while you're piloting. Like, so having someone spectate your games will
And
help
kind of tell
you.
you where you like fall short or like where you did this
Exactly.
and
They're
you
going to
could have did
catch things
that.
that you
Yeah,
didn't notice, and then you can look out for them going forward.
yeah,
Like, oh,
that's a
you
big
had lethal that game, or like, oh, this was kind of a misplay. Like, I do that all the time, but like, it's easier to
yeah,
catch stuff when you're spectating versus when you're actually like in the pilot chair.
it's a big thing.
Um, one thing I wrote down is like not overreacting to streaks, like either way. And what I mean by that is like you're gonna go on win streaks and losing streaks in this game. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like the best players in the world, Iene, Thuldir, um, Ross Pierre Dole, whoever, like Endozoa, all the goats. Like, I've seen when I've spectated them or watched their streams, like they go on losing streaks too. Fewer and farther between, but like it happens. And you can't overreact to that and think like, oh, this deck is automatically bad, or like all my decks are automatically bad because I can't win any games right now. Like, there's so many elements of like you're just having bad matchups, or you're not getting ring consistently for a while, or like you're hitting a lot of prophecies just unluckily. Could be any number of those things. It doesn't mean that like you're a bad player necessarily, or that your decks are like bad. Now, that doesn't mean you can't like make little edits or little tweaks to adjust to the meta. Um, but don't overreact to like a loss streak. But also, just because you're on a win streak doesn't mean like your deck can't be improved or can't be, like tweaked to be even better, or that you shouldn't be, having like multiple decks that you are able to cycle through when the meta shifts like it does, from day to day throughout the month. Um,
Especially in that last day where you find like people like
oh my
their
goodness.
mid grow or like their super strong lists and stuff. Like you fight a bunch of goblins, just shitty decks that you don't
Yep.
like to fight all the time. It's literally the only thing you choose, right? It
Right, because
sucks,
everyone
but
knows like it's the last chance for that month to get whatever spot they're trying to get, so they're
yeah,
trying their
exactly.
pants off. Speaking of like meta, I would say one thing that you need to do is like play to your strengths, like within the meta. And what I mean by that is like, um, if you're an aggro player, if you're a mid player, if you're a control player, whatever you're most comfortable with, whatever you're most confident in, like play those decks when you're trying to go for a top 10 finish. Like, and you want to be playing like meta decks. What I mean by that is like decks that are like really strong, really good decks that a lot of people kind of play one version of or another, not just like, fun, memey kind of random, stuff that is like fun to play but isn't going to win at as high of a rate. Unless you happen to be one of those like select few players that can literally do whatever they want and still like, be in the top 10, like some of the semi-pro or pro players from back in the day, like just don't overthink it. Like play really strong, really good decks that are in your wheelhouse. Each person out there knows whether they're like a control player or a mid player, aggro player, whatever their strong suit is. So just play to your strengths. Like it's okay to for that month, like just play one or two or three like really good decks that like are your best decks, and who cares if people think that you like never switch off that deck if you're going for this goal of getting the card back and finishing the top 10, like just go for it and do whatever you're most comfortable with and what's your strong suit like. let's see. Do. I mean, yeah, it's. I think I touched on this a little bit, but like, is it okay to fail like at first, when you're going for this goal? Like,
It's
it's not
expected.
easy.
It's
There's literally
expected.
there's literally only 10 people in the whole world that can do it any given month. Like, um, out of the thousands that still play ladder every month, like, there's a lot of luck involved, and there's a lot of like really good players. Like, I love that about this game. Like, I've never ceased to be amazed at like how good a lot of people that play this game are in their deck building and the ideas they think of and like the creative ways they're able to like beat me. Like, I've been playing for so long. I know the fundamentals of how to play so well, and yet I still routinely get my butt kicked, like almost on a daily basis. And like,
But it's just like the weirdest shit too. You're like, the way this works. And Buddy pulls out
so
the
yeah,
what?
and then they do, and that's what makes it an achievement and something worth, like pursuing. Like, you navigated and mitigated all the BS of like ladder over the course of a whole month or however much of that month you played. Um, and you managed to come out on top with like 9 other people for that season. You were one of the very best, and like, it's a really cool thing to achieve, and it's gonna feel great like when you're able to do that. And I'd love to have more people, like you said, kind of have that same feeling and whatnot, like, and get to experience that, get that shiny card back. One thing too is like, you don't want to expect to be able to do it without putting in like the requisite time. Um, you have to like put in the time to get good at the game. Like, now, if you're managing your time well and like, not just mindlessly queuing, but like learning from your losses, having someone kind of mentor and coach you up, um, playing good decks and like really kind of studying good deck building and using all of your time just doing that kind of stuff, like, you're not going to need to put in as much time as um you're not going to need to put in as much time as if you're just like kind of playing the game just to play without focusing on these kind of things that can help you. Um, but it still is going to require like a time commitment, and it's fine to not like have the time, right, to be able to like do it.
Yes, it's
Like,
fine to have a
it's
life, guys.
yes. In fact, it's, preferable. Like,
Definitely
make sure you
encourage.
have a life first and then, kind of devote your free time to like this game, because it is a game. Like, it's meant to be fun, it's meant to be relaxing. Like, oftentimes it's not, but like,
It's definitely not
it
relaxing.
well, I mean, it's an escape from reality, I guess, for lack of a better descriptor. We all need to escape reality sometimes. Like, so what better way than to kind of, pound someone's face and get prophecy bolted, to lose.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, let's not even talk. Those kind of losses are something else. But again, like we were saying, don't let them get into your head. Don't let people get into your head either. Players are just out to dictate how you get in your head.
yeah. Yeah, it's not the end
Don't
all
have
be
it.
all.
Don't have a fucking.
I sh Yeah, like, and again, like, however long you, oh my goodness.
Oh, fucking Jesus! Come on, man. Seriously?
That is
He
brutal.
did get quite a few from that rage. I was like, ah, fuck. I hope he doesn't get a bunch of drain life. And like, yeah, he's gonna get like half of them. God,
So
that
that right
sucks.
there, I mean, I'm glad we got to see that. I'm not glad that you
Oh
lost, but like, that's a
man,
perfect example of the kind of thing that you're gonna have to roll with the punches,
it's not a
you
big deal.
know. It's not, but like, I mean, it's,
Does
for
suck.
this video that ends up on YouTube, like, that's a prime example of the kind of thing
Yeah.
that can
No,
like,
that is the kind of bullshit that you'll have to deal with. Like, unfortunately, I know I don't wish
yes,
that on anybody, but like at the end of the day, things like that are gonna happen. You have to be able,
yep,
like, you know what, whatever. Next game. Uh,
yep. Pick yourself up off the mat and keep on
the
coming.
game
Like,
because the game isn't gonna change just for you. Like, You know what I mean? The game's not gonna be like, oh well, he didn't want to, he did this and that, and he's having a tough go, and maybe we should go easy on him. The game doesn't give a fuck about how you
Nope,
do.
not at all. And that's why it truly is something to be proud of, like if you're able to do this. And again, we're hopefully we can help some people get there that are like on the cusp. Or maybe not in as short of a time, but people who aren't necessarily close, but who do have the potential. Because I'm a big believer that lots of people out there got the potential to do this. Um, I don't know if I remember which month you first got your top 10, but do you have any like memories or stories from that, or like things you wish someone would have told you that you would go back in time and like tell yourself, before that or whatnot? If that makes any kind of sense.
Um, Anything like that I would tell myself like when I did it, like when I first got it.
Yeah, like what made the difference, I guess, for you? Like what put you over the edge? Like
Well, I wanted to get it, like wanted to get it ever
so
since. But I
so it was that
basically
desire that kind of
when I,
drove you, right? Like
yeah, I started MPO and then I got the top 10 card back, and I was kind of like, if I'm gonna start the plan, and we're all gonna try to top ladder people stuff, and it's like, how can I promote that and not even have the top 10 card back? It's kind of like my mind was. Right? So like for me, it was important that aspect.
kind of the street cred of it.
Yeah, well, that you know what I mean, and it's like, how can I don't know, well, see that I don't have the card back? Are they even that I'm a good player, good enough to like have this whole like kind of that's where my mind was. So
Okay.
for me, it was something a little different in that regard, but all the same, like I wanted to get it ever since I first saw it when I first started playing. First
I
started
mean, who
playing, I saw the
doesn't,
card
right?
back, and I saw it, and I was like, dude, that looks sick. And then, I saw it, it looked nice, and then I saw what I had to do to get it, and I was like, okay, well, obviously that's not a right now thing, but I'll get there eventually. And
For sure.
honestly, when I got it, it was during COVID. I had all the free time in the world.
There you
I
go.
just
And you made good
spent.
use of it.
Yeah, well, I mean, a good use to me. Some people might not think so, but guess what? Those people don't matter. No. um, yeah, no. If you enjoy playing the game, guys, like honestly, at the end of the day, I play this game more than anybody else in the world, for a fact. And if
You'll get
you
no argument
enjoy
from me.
you enjoy playing this game, and people are gonna like pick on you or whatever for it, which happens to me all the time. It's like, you know what? Honestly, I don't really care, because time that I spend doing something I like is not time that I consider the game isn't in development.
That
I don't
doesn't matter.
consider that to be a waste of time. Like, I'm here,
Yeah.
I have friends in the game. Like, I have people that I talk to all the time, and it's just this is like, I don't know. Obviously, like, stock in the game than most people, but at the end of the day, in the game, eh, whatever time on the game that you
Man,
like he
I
said
had
earlier,
some
don't be unhealthy about it.
yeah, I was just gonna go back and circle back to that because like there was nights where I stayed up way too late, got less sleep than I should have, literally just trying to like get back to a rank that I was or whatever. And like it's almost like gambling in that sense, right? Like you start off doing good, you're winning,
It's
and then
essentially
you go on
it
a
is glorified gambling. Yeah.
you go on a losing streak and you're like, man, I gotta get back to where I was. I gotta chase, that win from earlier. Like but you gotta be able to just step away and be like, what, tomorrow's a new day. Um I can't because when you get more tired and more like stressed out, you start playing worse. Like unless you're
Yeah.
like really the most disciplined, like mentally tough player there is, like which most of us probably aren't. Like so you got to
No,
be
man. Like,
just
you can really see, like, when I
aware.
start to get tired on stream, you can really see what comes out of do stupid shit,
Yep.
and I'll doze off, like half my turn timer goes away, and I'm like, oh fuck, and then I like do shit last second. It's like I feel like a total idiot. Yeah, don't do
Well,
that, guys. Don't be
again,
that guy.
like that's not as big of a deal if you're just playing on a given month or season and not having your focus and your goal be to finally
Yeah,
get over that hump and
yeah,
get
yeah,
that
yeah.
top 10 finish, right? If you are in that situation, you can't afford to not be at your best. Like, so, get your rest. Like, it sounds stupid, like it's not like a real sport, but like, treat it that way, stay hydrated,
Mental
like, eat healthy,
mental
like, work out,
acuity,
get enough
mental
sleep.
mental acuity is a fucking thing that matters. Like if you hear like people
Yes,
that are playing chess and stuff like that, and like at a world level,
absolutely.
and it makes a big difference. You can tell who's got sleep and who didn't get sleep, or like who had their fucking proper breakfast and shit like that. It's all part of the game, like really. Like I'm not saying that that's part of TESL, but like it's part of the treat yourself well and fucking if you want to do well, then you have to treat your body well, and
Yes.
it comes from you know treating yourself like I said, treating yourself well first and foremost. Wake up, have a bowl of stupid shit like that. I know it sounds dumb. Like, you're not
Oh
like,
no, like
going to the
literally,
Olympics or anything, but like, it does matter
you're.
because like when you're hungry, you think differently. When you're angry, you
Oh,
think differently. Like
absolutely.
all these things matter.
Like
Take care of
Legends is
yourself.
not a game where like skill holding an Xbox controller comes into play. There's no like manual dexterity that gives you an edge. It's all with your mind, like, and your mind and your body are connected. Like science has known this for a long time. Like you got to take care of yourself to be at your best, like in all aspects of life. But I mean, if you're really going for it, why not give yourself a little bit of an edge? You know what I mean? Like, um, and just get out of your own way. Like, don't shoot yourself in the foot by being sleep deprived and like having a lower chance of winning because you can barely keep your eyes open to like see what cards are in your hand.
Yeah, don't pull a fucking Ross.
I mean, I think kind of like the positive self-talk and not getting down on yourself is like important too. Like, people might be surprised to hear that like even in 2024, a player like myself who has accomplished a lot of things in this game and playing for a long, long time, like I still have days or moments in time or matches that make me literally think that like I am an absolute trash garbage player. My decks are absolute garbage. Like I literally cannot win a game and like I'm just a bad player. Which is not true, like objectively, but it's things can happen to you in this game, like losing streaks or whatever. Like, think the stars can align in such a way that like you may have that thought come into your head. Now, then it's up to you. What are you going to do? Are you going to banish that thought? Are you going to let it take root in your mind? Like what's your reaction going to be? And you got to like have a plan and then put it into place and practice just like that positive self-talk. Like, no, I'm not a bad player. Like, I'm one of the best players there is, at least for the modern day. Like, or however you want to like think about yourself in this game. Like I am not trash. My decks are not trash. They've gone on winning streaks before. I just need to make a little adjustment here or there. I just need to like take a break and reset my brain, like go drink a cup of coffee, or drink some water, whatever it might be. Like, ooh, Harpy for the win,
Harriet,
or at
I
least
love
for
you.
not the loss.
Yeah. That's my main bitch. Main squeak. Name's Harriet. She saves my ass every night.
Nice. I matched Fluffy in the event, and he got 2 prophecies and beat me.
Oh yeah, prophecies.
They really do. I'm so stubborn when it comes to like not putting more of them in my decks, usually just because I hate when I run into them, which is really illogical, but
It's silly. It's You're putting yourself at a disadvantage. Like I talked to Rufus about this. Like, why are you not running Harpy? What the hell do you have against Harpy? Like, I don't get it. And seriously, you are putting literal
yep,
disadvantage by not playing this
yep.
card. I don't know what you have for
hmm
your beef with Harpy is, but like, get over it because
Well,
she's the
I
best.
do
She's the
get it.
best
Like
blue. She's the best blue two drop there is, man. Like I don't care. Like you say, Wardcrafter, that's great. Wardcrafter's great in its own regard, but it's not Harpy. It won't save you games like the way
Harpy is very,
Harpy
very,
will.
very, very strong, but those times where you play it just without even shackling something or like early in the game and it's just a 2-1 for like two, I don't know, like obviously sometimes
Almost,
it's way better than others, I guess. Like
I almost never do that ever.
I know. um so yeah, just like you got to be aware that over the course of a whole, month long season, there's going to be ups and downs. It's going to be a roller coaster. Just try to stay even keel and steady and like trust in things that are true, like that you're a good player, that you have good decks, that you have a good player or two helping you out, and that it is possible. It is within reach. Even if it doesn't happen that month, there's going to be more months, and the closer you get, you can take things from that and learn from it and be that much more confident that you're going to get it done the following month or whatever. Um, I think that was probably most of like stuff I had written down. The One of the absolute biggest skills that I think separates people who are able to finish top 10 is kind of like navigating the meta, right? We've probably talked about that as a term before, but like you have to develop this skill of like recognizing like what you're running into a lot, what people are playing, and then knowing what kind of deck, whether you're an aggro player, what kind of aggro deck, whether you're a mid player, what kind of mid deck, et cetera, whatever is up your alley, which of those decks that you're strong with is gonna be a better counter to what you're running into. And sometimes you're gonna have to make those adjustments multiple times a day, right? Like the meta is like an ever shifting, cruel temptress and mistress that you have to stay on top of. And that's something that like networking with other people can help you with, right? Like you're chatting or spectating other people, you can kind of get a better picture than just your own games of like what is strong right now, what are people running, what do I need to look out for. Not only that, but breaking it down further, um, what kind of cards are these decks likely to have in their hand right now? Like what do I need to play around, right? Are you still with me there,
Yeah, yeah,
Andy
no,
Dandy?
yeah. I'm just
Okay.
chatting without just chatting with a buddy.
I wanted to make sure there wasn't any more audio issues. Like, am I just talking into the void of oblivion? Oh,
Anyway,
I've got something else. I've got something that I didn't write down, but we need to talk about, and that's like how to approach playing the last few days when you were already in the top 10 and want to keep that and like
oh my
maintain that
god,
spot.
dude, and so many people I know, like, you just it's like
There's one that we
they
probably are both thinking of a few months ago or whenever it
it's
was.
like they think their first top 10 is gonna be their number one finish or something. Like, you don't have to
No.
be fucking a superhero, guys. Like, first of all, if you're going for top 10 for the first time ever, you have jitters playing in the top 10 as it is.
Yes.
You're not gonna
It's
be that
intimidating.
Superman mentality fucking playing in the top 10 that you're gonna get fucking number one your first try ever getting top 10. I'm sorry,
And then
it's not gonna
stack
happen.
wins at number 1.
Yeah, like what the fuck, man? Don't be that guy, right?
Do you know what place I finished the first time I got my card back?
No, I finished. The first time I got there was I finished.
I was number 10, dude. And that
Oh
is
yeah,
just as much of the card back as number 1.
yeah. No, seriously though, honestly, like you'll get it regardless. You don't have to be like number five or
But
number six or
that made
whatever.
that made the last hour or two like just checking every like literally every few seconds to see if someone passed me like so stressful.
Oh my god, dude, yes. And the worst part is like it
Because
doesn't
you
really
know
refresh. It doesn't really refresh if you're doing it. Like
exactly you have
you'd
to
have
like
to like
you have
play
to
an
exit.
AI or something. Like
Yeah, you have to like exit out of the game and get back in or like whatever. Like,
yeah, no, it's rough.
man, it was such a relief, such a weight off my shoulders because I had gotten
You
in
know who actually
a
told me
month
I
or
wasn't in the top? I thought like 'cause on my screen I could see it said for me that I was nine or whatever. And fucking Nijaro, the one that told me, he was like,
oh, he checked
"Oh,
your rank and was like, "Yo, someone passed you or something."
he was like, yo, he's like, you're 11 right now." I was like, no way. You know who it was that passed me?
Who?
Fuck, it was fucking Juno. But when I got back into the top 10,
Oh,
I kicked him out.
did he have it yet at that point?
We were both going for.
Oh, that's rough.
I didn't know that but like
Well, that's the thing though. I mean, it's got to be earned. Like None of this, you know, like someone's gonna concede for you or like play on your account for you. The whole point of it is like
Yeah,
you
you if you don't get it yourself, then it's not
were
even
among,
what does it mean? And like
yeah,
what does it mean, right? Like don't do any of
it
that.
means
Like
it's meaningless, yeah.
yeah, don't like people aren't going to concede for you or do anything like that, and don't expect people to shouldn't want them to do it anyway, right? Like at the end of the day, if it's
It's
something that
gotta be
means
earned.
something, like not only is it cool, it looks cool, right? But like it means something. It has to mean something,
Yes,
otherwise, what's the point?
exactly. But that doesn't mean you can't have someone helping you in other ways that we already talked about, you know, like spectating, sending you deck codes to try, being your cheerleader, keeping your mental health, you know, keeping your attitude good, all that good stuff, making sure you
Keeping
don't
your
tilt.
attitude good is like the number one. Taking losses with the times they just draw well, and that Goblins game earlier, I think a great. If the game hadn't gone that way, maybe even not even that turn. Like if we hadn't have won that turn, I can pretty much guarantee you that I would have been.
Yep.
But the thing is like sometimes they just have all inning, and that is next game.
Yeah, because that one game that you lose was not the deciding factor. It's not like the game now blocks you from the top 10 for that month because you lost that match. No, you can keep playing. You can keep winning. Like,
Unless it's your
flush
last
it.
match of the season.
Right, but outside
but
of that.
yeah,
But speaking of the end of the season, yeah, like, um, you should be trying to get into the top 10 before the very last day, even though that's where it counts. Because as
the
we've
last
alluded
the
to,
last 48 hours is the most important for the ladder and just in general. Like I'm not even like
yes,
making this shit up. Like if you have a decent position in the last, you know, 48 or so, then you can kind of monitor it from there. Like I'd say if it's your first time going for top 10 and you're in the top 20 in your last day, you're doing good, right? You just have to push that final
absolutely.
day, like 10 more spots and you're good to go, right? But don't let the fucking jitters get you and don't add RNG. Yeah. And one other thing about that is like if you're doing well, don't get complacent. Start making stupid stuff or like if you have a combo in your hand and you're like, oh, I might have to do this and whatever, get the combo and like get the win that way.
Yeah, don't be greedy.
Don't yeah,
Take the easy win.
don't do stupid stuff like that and ruin your shot because of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Obviously,
don't go away from what got you to that spot. Like, but it is an easier path and preferable to like not have to get into the top 10 on the last day or the second to last day. Like, if you can manage it, you want to be at like the top 5 going into that last 48 hours or especially 24 hours because
yeah,
as we've talked
definitely.
about before, the last day people go berserk and they bring out the cancerous toxic stuff and they try harder. They treat it like we all do, like it's some sort of, you know, Olympic event
I
with
was gonna
like
say they
a
treat it like it's just
billion
a fucking Olympics.
dollars on the line, which is
Yeah,
ridiculous, but we all do it so we can't be hypocritical. But like you just have to know that like it is going to be objectively harder usually to sneak in on the last day than it is to just get there before that and then camp your spot. It's going to be so much harder for people to pass you than it is when you're sitting at like 5 or 4 or 3 than it is for you to climb in from like 20 or 15 or whatever. Like,
yeah, and you will have that every time. Like, and this is just a thing that is the way it is. There will be a wall at the beginning of 10.
yep.
You're not going to get to 10 and then beat 10 and immediately go into the top 10. You'll have to win like 5 or 6 games at 10 in order to get there. So keep that in mind
And the
too.
wall
Like,
could be, yeah, 10, 11, 12, it could be 9, whatever it is, but it's somewhere you're going to have to win 4 or 5 in a row in order to make that jump. And like, if you don't do it the first time, like, then you just keep playing after that loss and try to do it again. Like, one aspect that's very frustrating to try to move up in the high ranks is like the way that the ELO works. When you're high ranked, you're not going to be matching as many people that are above you that can give you like a big boost to your ELO.
yeah, so you're
And
competing against somebody that's are like 10 or deeper and you're trying to get in there. Basically, that game is going to mean more than like 10 other games with other people that are like, 100 or whatever. It's it
right,
That's kind of what we're saying is like if you beat one guy in the top 10, then it will make more of a difference than if you beat like 10 guys that are in like the top 200, 300, or whatever. And that's
But
just
on the flip
the
side,
way the system works.
yeah, on the flip side, like it's not gonna hurt your rank as much to lose to like the number one player or whatever. But if you lose to someone who's not even in Legends ranks, you're gonna drop. Like, so you
Yeah.
can't overlook those games and think you got a free win. Sometimes they're running some weird, crazy stuff that you're not prepared for, and they're not gonna play like the
Most of the time they are.
and they're not going to be making the same plays you're used to if you're in the high legends. So you got to be careful not to get surprised by that because they can still win the game. They're still trying just as hard as you are theoretically. Like even though maybe it's not quite meta and they're not as fundamentally sound or
everybody
whatever.
everybody can get their god draw. Every deck can
Yes,
win at least one game.
and everyone can hit prophecies like so. It's not like they don't know how to win. They know that they if they hit your face, and get you down to 0, that they win and they get, the the victory screen just like you do. So, um, don't overlook those games. And like obviously, if your goal is to finish in the top 10, you got to bring your A game like every single game. You've got to focus and just like I don't know, like psych yourself up somehow and get your mentality like I'm gonna win this game. There's no way this person's gonna beat me. Like I got this. Like I got their number. Whatever
Yeah,
you gotta like
yeah.
mindset you gotta put yourself in.
Like I said, that'll be your worst end. That'll be your worst end.
A totally different video game than Legends that I play when I'm not playing Legends is Destiny 2, and I really enjoy the competitive modes for that game's PvP, like Trials of Osiris or the competitive playlist. And there's a guy that I played with. I don't anymore, but he kind of coached me up and really taught me how to get good at the game. And like I was talking to him one time, and I think this is applicable, and there's some crossover here. There was one time I was playing without him, and I did really well. And I was telling him about it. I was like, it was insane, man. Like I felt so locked in. Like I was treating every single gunfight like it was the fight of my life, and like focusing so much on landing my shots and my movement and my positioning and stuff. And he's like, yeah, that's how I play like all the time. And I was like, oh wow, that makes sense. That explains a lot. Like, so you've got to like whatever you want to call it, bringing your A game, putting on your big boy pants, try harding, sweating, whatever it is. You got to do that like every single match as much as you're able to. Like, if you're going for this, like, and the best players definitely do that. Like, when they're getting their fifth or sixth, number one finish in a row, like Iani or Ross, whoever, Thuldir, those kind of players that can do that crazy stuff like that. I have never liked market decks because it's uninteractive, right? Which is something that people have long agreed about is like does not
You
feel
fucking
good
didn't
and
even
isn't.
what? Oh my god! You didn't even do the fucking fingers right. For God's sake! God damn.
You can tell when someone like has seen someone else pilot a deck or even has the deck code but doesn't know like the full way to like really pilot it.
They're gonna be so trash.
Yet another example of the kind of thing that can happen when you're a top 10 caliber player, but like you have to jump over these hurdles sometimes and not let them uh, get in your way, like mentally.
Hurdle.
Do you think we've missed anything kind of obvious so far? I think we've covered, a lot of it.
That's like the bulk of it.
I'd like to reiterate that I think I can speak for you and myself and say like anyone that watches these videos, like feel free to add us if you are not already on either of us or both of us on our friends list. And like my work has picked up at my job a bit, so I'm not on as much as I was when I was just like not working at work, but like when I'm on, I have no problem spectating someone playing, friendly matches with you to practice, giving you deck codes and my tips on how to
That's a
pilot
big
them,
thing too,
helping you
guys.
build a
Fucking
deck.
friendly matches to practice is fucking big.
Yeah, because then you're not risking your rank in order to like sharpen your skills.
Or just try something new if you want. trying
Absolutely.
trying something.
Try a powerful deck that you're not familiar with that could help you. And then again, if you don't want to add either of us, but you have a friend on your friends list who has the top 10 card back and probably has some insight on how to acquire it or how they acquired it, ask them if they're willing to help out. Like I had help along the way, not only in getting the card back, but just in going from being a literal worst player in the game at one point, probably to like, hopefully um, considered like one of the better players in the modern era. That's why I play anyways, is to try to be that. But I don't know if you feel the same way or not, if you had some help along the way, but I'd love nothing more than to pay that forward and to pass on what I've learned and to help someone else get that feeling of accomplishment and like satisfaction from having a goal and then achieving it. It's one of the best things in life, I feel like. If you set a goal, a realistic goal, and then you work hard at it and you get the satisfaction and the reward of like, and then once you've done it, you can just, I mean, you've done it. Like, you never have to do it again. You can if you want, but like, you know that you're that caliber of player and you can start doing this crazy stuff that you see A-Ross doing right now, messing around with like Nick socks and stuff and having that monkey off your back, like to where you don't need to prove anything to anybody. Not that you do anyways, but like mostly
I
about
think
proving it to
I think
yourself,
I was gonna
I
say at the end
guess.
of the day, if you're going for a top 10, then obviously you want the card back. But at the end of the day, you should only be doing it to prove it to yourself. If you're doing it to prove it for somebody else, you're doing it for the wrong.
Yep,
And if you're doing it to prove it to somebody else, I need to use the washroom real quick. But if you're doing it to
no
prove it to
problem.
somebody else, then the biggest thing that I will say is that lose those games, and when you try to like be mentally tough and stuff like that, it's it all goes out the window because you're not doing it for you, you're doing it for somebody else, and that
Right.
somebody else is always going to be that'll always be like a shadow, fucking like
Ha.
haunting over you
Shadow.
type deal. But I mean, it's not like don't do it for somebody else and whatever. Like they say, if that's tough love or whatever, do it for you. At the
Hey,
end of the
when
day,
you come back
your
from the
your your
washroom,
opinion is the only one that matters. Yeah, what's up?
when you come back from the washroom, remind me group memory to tell you about the moment that I realized I could actually kind of like go for a top 10 finish for the first time because there's a story
Yeah.
there I want to tell you.
Okay, for sure. Be right back.
I queued up
So
and I
it's story
matched
time.
Spliff El Pillager while you were in the
Oh,
washroom.
oh, did you?
Yeah, so
Oh,
um
that.
I had before this 1 month that I'm kind of remembering, um I had never played a lot or aggressively at the beginning of the month like a lot of people do. Um there's this 1 month where I don't know if I had like perfected Burn BM, but like I had kind of, gotten it pretty spicy and I played a lot like the first day and I made it to legend and I had never really done that early before and I was like already in the top, 10 or 20 just from getting legend like that early, that quickly. And not only that, But then kept playing and I got to number one, and this was probably on a second or third day, and I was like, holy smokes! Like I've never
Uh,
done better than
once
probably
once you get
top
number one for the
75.
first time, even if like it's just at the beginning of the season, you're like, oh yeah, this is a high.
It was wild, yeah. Like cause I before then I really had not thought that I was anywhere near good enough to like even break into the top 10, much less like finish a season there, which we need to point out those are two different things. Some people like to say that they've made it to number one or made it into the top 10, but like that's not the same thing as like finishing there. Um, but that was like, man, okay, maybe I am good enough. Like maybe I need to like take this more seriously and actually go for this. Like because I wanted the card back, but like I didn't really think I could ever earn it before that point in time. And it was still many months before I did it. But like that was where it kind of started. Like, holy smokes! Like maybe I'm not trash. Maybe I am good enough. Like,
Who's watching you?
someone named Ahmed 9894.
Oh yeah,
And then I have no idea how this person's on my friends list, but aros.npo? Who's that?
good one.
What do you think you're doing, Spliff, with that Alfiq Conjurer?
Alfie conjuring away.
Alfiq what?
Alfie conjuring away.
I don't get it. Am I missing something?
Oh, that's what he thinks he's doing. He's playing the card.
Oh, okay. I think I just misheard you. I get it. Yeah, he's Alfiq conjuring away. That's fair. I
Hidden,
mean,
no hidden meaning.
it's a, it's a pretty decent card.
Some people would even busted good. I don't
I mean,
really
I
think
think
that
it's
that's
just I think it's just strong enough that it doesn't cross over the line into like overpowered, toxic, or cancerous, which is the best kind of card,
yeah, but
in my opinion. Like,
it's good. And then it's like then you have cards like salties that are kind of the same way.
right,
They can make you feel like it's like busted or whatever, tilted off and pissed and
bussin'.
whatever. Um, but them in the same deck, it's a strong synergy. A lot of say Alfie carries
Yeah.
the deck, and it's like, yeah, that's why they're in the deck. It's called win conditions. Um, I don't know if you heard of it before. Every deck's got one.
Yeah, like we should celebrate and encourage like synergy because a lot of the stuff that people consider to be overpowered or broken or toxic or cancerous doesn't really have synergy. It just has like one or two really broken cards and then like a bunch of filler cards that I guess somewhat can support it but don't really have true synergy with it. Like,
Yeah, it's not like an actual synergistic combo where you're like, oh, that's
no, like
awesome. It's just like, okay, cool.
workshop Titan, like,
It's like cool. You're ramping like to play your fucking reanimate sooner, so
yeah,
you can reanimate
right.
Alduin out of the graveyard. Like
And like
that's still noob
Goblin
shit.
Skirmisher, like, yes, it's a goblin, but like it's not strong because of the synergy. It's strong because plus 2/2 is too much stats for a
For a
four
4/4
body
to
for
cut,
four
or
magic
yeah,
guy.
yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. It's like if you're playing goblins or whatever, like play goblins. That's fine. But where's the cool tech that you're adding into your goblins? Is it regular scout goblins? Okay, fine. That's
Make like a monk
never.
version with
It's
like
never gonna
Cloud Rest
impress
and
me.
like Calm and stuff like that. Do
Yeah,
something
that kind of
different,
shit's
yeah.
better. It's definitely better to do it that way. But like, I was thinking, like something I like doing is I like playing the crab monk, crab fucking
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
assassin every now and then um, on the ladder. And something I've been doing recently, I added Nacrin to the list because it's funny, and I also run Murkwater Guide, and Murkwater Guide will draw you an extra 0 from Nacrin. So like if you're playing draw into something, if Resume is drawn as a 0, then you draw an extra Resume at his original cost. But
That's so insane.
yeah, but you still draw an extra fucking Resume Dar, right? So it's
No,
funny,
I
like
know. That's
cool,
bonkers.
cool
Like
shit.
having one Razumdar is enough to win the game, but having two is just, mind numbing. Like,
Yeah, and then one of them is also 0 cost. Just
Yeah, the value you're
throwing.
gonna get from that, potentially drawing 2 cards and hitting them for 4, like with a 4/3 body for 0 magic is just
Yeah, it's
should not be
ridiculous.
allowed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think I'll queue up one more here before switch back to you if you don't mind.
Fine. Yeah, no,
I
I
mean,
don't
just for
mind.
the sake of, variety and who's playing, I guess, but
Yeah.
um
Shout out
what
TDC
did you
Jason,
have a
deck builders, a love person.
who?
He
Oh, yeah,
was
I remember him.
built like his like journey, Altria Noble.
Do more
Yeah,
of that kind of stuff, yeah.
yeah. No, he's like one of the jankier guys, but like all his shit, like the synergies make sense and they're all good. Like he's
Nice.
like the kind of guy that would play like fucking Chanter in Monk to get like the
Oh,
Namira
yeah,
ring like
Chanter.
OTK. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
bullshit like
I
that.
have respect for people that make Chanter decks because it seemed
I made a
intimidating at
Chanter deck.
first.
I made a Chanter deck yesterday, and I was like, "Fuck it, I'm adding Alter." And I added Alter to this Chanter deck, and it was absolutely fuck wild, like just insane.
I bet. Yeah, I
But
bet.
the thing was, the thing that was rough about it was that it ran out of cards too quick. Like, okay, now I have to add Thorana for
It was
Journey.
like, yeah, too efficient at milling through everything, like
Yeah, man. But I was like, this could be really good, you know? Is like, but obviously then the win condition becomes getting Thorana, so you can actually start like, keep on bringing your cards out, right?
yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah.
no, it's like this is dope. And then basically Thorana comes out. You know, you get your journey. Journey comes down at the end of the altar run is I capped it at 10 for Supreme Atromancer because at the end of the day you're gonna have like a bunch of
Nice.
like Gearwork spiders and shit like that in your deck or like zero
Yeah.
cost elusive femurs, right? So
We got a match, BT
perfect thing to
dubs.
play with fucking perfect thing to play with Supreme Atromancer. Or cost cards in your hand, you know, down.
That's awesome. Um, did you have a moment like the one I was describing? I know we have different backgrounds coming into the game, like you were already very familiar and skilled with card games in general. Um, but did you have a moment similar to that where you're like, okay, this is actually achievable for me? Like,
Honestly, like when I got, it's kind of similar to like what you had there, like when you got your first like number one, like when you very first got to the number one spot. I remember I did that on day one. Prophecy Guild was when I was in the AZZ chat actually,
okay.
and I shared a picture of it, and they were like, "Fucking oh fuck," you know, like you're probably the only one in Legend, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, Broda, you fucking asshole." But like no, and I don't think that it was meant to be a diss or anything, but
No, it's just,
I probably
yeah,
was
it
the only
probably
one in
was true.
Legend.
You were the first one to hit Legend that month, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, you know, and then they were like, you know, fucking respect, like that's fucking what a grind. Yeah, no, I did it like fucking
That
10 hours or
prophecy
something like
tier
that.
is so brutal.
What?
5/4 guard breakthrough for free. He got tier as a prophecy. Like that is the most one of the most brutal prophecies.
Oh,
I traded
yeah.
into it, so he's not on board. But like, man,
No, I
that's
see it.
rough.
Here is fucking Dan Slevin's actually pretty good. Turning player, actually.
Yeah, I don't remember him too much for whatever reason.
Returning player. Like
Oh, welcome back, JN Slebin, and I'm glad you're playing Halali, one of my favorite tricolor
first time I've ever seen him on Halalu.
decks.
Normally on like fucking Guildsworn, Covenant, Dagoth. I've seen him on Dagoth a couple times.
Speaking of Halalu, Duke Vetum Dren is such a good card. Like, might go without saying, but like, my goodness,
Well, if you
such a
have your
good
deck
card.
tailored in such a way that like when you're playing like a card to make him draw eight, he's drawing like something like say Rage, then yeah, he's fucking sick.
Yeah,
Like when
man,
I have him in
such
like
a good card.
gonna get a little shit for this, but it's like I have him in my invade Halalu. Uh but it's like I have it so like, you know, obviously like Hercine is at 9 and then like I have a card set for 8. Wilds Incarnate or Resume is 7. So it's like when you play cards and then it's like
Yeah.
usually the zero cost card
Oh my
if you want to
goodness.
play it on
He
curve.
swifts. He
Oh
just. Oh, I
man.
got tier. I got tier now, just like he did as a prophecy. That's wild. Oh my goodness, 2 prophecies. I only run
Well,
like.
butter me up and call me a biscuit.
I don't even run that many in this. I don't think.
Do
That
now.
definitely helps. That definitely helps me not instantly die. But he drew so many cards. Swift Strike with a 0 cost Crusader's Assault from Serial. Crazy.
Kellogg's coming through big plays. I think Crusader's Assault on Relentless Raider has to be one of the most absolutely bananas, ridiculous things that nobody does, like on the ladder. Like I'm
Or
telling
no
you
one
this
like
right now.
tries to go out of their way to do it or whatever.
No, I mean like there's plenty of opportunities where people could probably do it, and they just don't. And I don't know why they don't. Like they use it on a creature to like they think that the breakthrough on the creature and whatever like the extra card is going to make a difference. It's like guys, if you're breaking more than one with Relentless Raider, you're gaining so much more cards. Like and if you use two Crusaders Assaults, you'll overdraw your hand.
Supreme Dragon is so good, but I feel like fitting him into a deck like that is really competitive is not always super easy or like intuitive.
Well, I when I used him, I was using him in a battle Guildsworn. So basically, he would a
There's
battle
got to be some
rage.
way I can come back here.
Yeah,
I obviously want to play defenses here.
yeah, but you want to
There's
put down
got to be.
creatures first.
I wish I had a cheap dragon to get 4 health back from Woodland Lookout, but I don't yet.
Yeah, we should play it anyway.
Well, I'm just looking at my options here. I could play Falinesti to wipe the Shadow Lane, even though I can already
You
trade
can't wipe the
one.
Shadow Lane. You can only kill the
That's
Eldrazi.
right. It doesn't count as wounded if you've reduced their power. I learned that the hard way many times
Now you
over.
are about to learn it the hard way again. So
Yeah. So all I need is one more creature with 5 health or more in order to play defenses for free.
I wouldn't worry about that. But I mean, your best option here is looking like Thadon.
In field lane, right?
Yeah, no, field lane is probably best.
Then we can still execute his little guy if we really feel like we need to or want to, but
You should because just in case he has finish off.
yeah. It always sucks using execute on something that like isn't
Real
Daggerfall
threat at
Mage
the
or like
moment.
A Breton
Yeah,
Conjurer or something like that.
yeah, but don't play into that though. Like, you don't want to. You don't have to get at maximum value every
Oh
time.
my goodness. He
Yeah, he
has
draws really well, eh?
Taskhead.
Nasty.
Now, see, now Falinesti comes into play though
Yeah,
here. Although
perfect.
it's not
Yeah. You rapid shot that
actually.
fucking
Oh
rapid shot the
no,
Durzog
I'm 1 Magicka away from. Well,
being able.
never mind. Let's just not be stupid, I guess.
You
I
thinking
wish I could have played Woodland Lookout and then Sheer Point plus the like Rapid Shot, so I could gain some health. Because if he has Cliff Racer, this is curtains. Belligerent.
this is good though?
I mean, I guess.
Oh, you're still in the game, aren't you?
Yeah, but for how long?
Well, fucking however long you decide, I guess at this point. Javelin.
I mean, yeah, I kind of have to Javelin the Belly G. I wish I
You're
could
gonna
play
have to.
Woodland
Gonna
Lookout
have
and
to
Sheer Point.
listen. He's not gonna gain any attack for that thing, right?
No.
What can you do to stop him from hitting you with a javelin? I guess.
Yeah, I can basically Javelin that too. Because yeah, he could have Crusader's Assault. He could have
Yeah. No, wouldn't. I will check his grave. How many Crusaders Assault does he have left? I think
but
he
he
has
could
two,
also
two,
have like,
two potential Crusaders Assault.
He could have scimitar. I mean, like,
gavel. Yeah, you could have a bunch of.
he probably still wins regardless, unless I can start healing with this lookout.
Looks like he's fucking really
Another
like
belly G. My
he's
goodness
digging,
gracious.
digging though, and like he's got nothing in the fucking snag your fucking lane though.
I don't think I have
You can stop him from winning.
with wilds and then no. How? Actually, I can go to 8 health with Woodland Lookout plus Sheer Point and then removing Profiteer.
Yeah,
He could
yeah,
he could
that's the way to do
that's
it.
what looks like that's my only play, yeah,
That's the
like
only way to do it. Both in the shadow, or no, not the shadow, not the shield. Sorry, because if he has rage, it's over.
it's over anyways if
Yeah, but if he has rage, it's over. If you put them, any of them in the shadow, both in the
I knew what you meant. He's got to have it, right? Like yeah, there it is.
hurting.
Why did he delay? I mean, not for that long, but
I didn't really.
I've done that
That's
where
that's
like,
not
wait,
really a delay. It's like
no,
oh
I
you
know.
fucking you went to go put it down and like the game like snapped it back into your.
Or you just wanted like I've had a brain freeze for a second where it's like, wait, I have lethal? Like I actually got this? Like
Yeah, no, I don't think that's what it was. And you, yeah, no,
it was just weird. Like I expected him
it
to
was a
slap
little.
down something like right away if he had it. Well, I I'm super tired now. Is there anything else you want to add to kind of wrap this up in a bow and tie it off? Hopefully that was cool for people to see how our brains are analyzing in real time and kind of figuring out what plays are available and which one might be best in a high stakes close game like that. I don't know if it was that close. Like I don't know if I almost was ready to start stabilizing, I guess, but
Something I'd like to actually talk about just kind of ties into the whole.
sure.
A lot of the time when you're playing the game, you have like cards in your deck or in your hand or whatever. Like, I don't know. If you're like me and you build a deck and you whatever, basically you have a combo in mind or you have something in mind that you like an ideal way that you want to play your card, right? Um, and a lot of the time you kind of get caught up in this idea of like how it's most ideal to play your cards. And it's easy to fall into that trap of only going to do this if this, and it's only worth it if I do this, and whatever, and you get caught up in this like whole
Yes.
fucking minutia trap of you playing the cards in a specific way, and it's not healthy for your gameplay because you end up losing a lot of games because of it. What I
Yes,
want to
that's
say is
that's a really
don't
good point.
fucking fall into that trap. Like if the only way you can win is by playing some certain card that you would never fucking do or whatever, play it and play it in a certain way to like at least survive another turn or to win, then you have to play it. Like if there is a line that will allow you to like live or play the game longer and
Yeah.
it's not something that you're going to normally play it anyway because that's the only way
Yep.
you're going to win. If the only way you're going to win is by staying alive, then you have to stay alive. At the end of the day, it is what
That's a
it is.
really that's a really good point because I noticed myself falling into that trap before. Um, when you play this game a lot, like over the course of literal years, you form habits and you get into routines, and your brain kind of automates like your
Yeah, like I'm
decision
only going to
making.
play Breton Conjure if I have a fucking rapid shot in my hand. No, get that out of your
Sure.
head right now. Like that. I'm sorry, guys. Like sometimes Breton Conjure has to go on the board without a rapid shot in your hand. Sometimes you have
Oh
to
yeah, I do it
trust.
all the time.
Yeah, and honestly, I'll tell you right now. You get good at playing Brett and Conjurer without a fucking thing in your like without a rapid shot. You get good at finding out when it's actually better to play it without a rapid shot in your hand.
Yep.
That kind of thing. Like you get better at the game and you find out little tells and stuff like that aside from it. Thing is like if
Well,
you have cards in your hand that will stop you from losing the game that turn, do your best to play them. Like I don't always follow this rule because I do my own thing and I fuck around, lost the ladder, right? But take it from
uh,
me, if you really want to actually have a
do
good
as I
top,
say, not as I do. Yeah.
yeah, if you want to have a good top finish, like that's one of the things that like I feel like a lot of people probably do, and I did it a lot too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Well, and
if you have to
it's not
javelin a
like
1-1 fucking ungolem the fucking listener because you have one health, like I'm sorry guys, like what are you
do
gonna
it.
hold on to the fucking javelin for? You know, fucking Alduin, he's not coming. Like kill the fucking ungolem the listener. Like kill him right now. Otherwise you're gonna lose the game next turn. Sorry. Like it is what it is. That's the only thing I
Yeah,
can
that's
the only thing I can really say. Like it sucks having
well,
to
and
do
it's not
stuff like
it's
that.
not
Well, it's like you were saying
yeah.
earlier. You're like, oh, it sucks to use execute on a card that's not like whatever. It's like, dude, what? Get that fucking value shit out of your head, man. Like, if you're doing it to live and you're doing it to survive another turn, then it's what you're gonna do.
Well,
You know?
it's not to say that it's like
Okay, and I'm not saying like just fucking play your cards willy nilly, guys. I'm saying like you
of
want to
course
save
not.
your card for something in particular, and it's like that thing in particular isn't showing up. Then tough. Next game,
Yes,
maybe it'll show up next
don't
game.
like don't paint yourself into a mental corner and like box yourself in. Like maintain your ability to think outside the box and don't get trapped. Like, yeah, that's a really good point. Like, it's not to say that like anyone who does fall into that trap is like stupid. Like, our minds work that way for a reason.
Man,
You just have to be
I used
aware
to
of
do
it.
it all the time,
Oh
all the
yeah.
time.
Like it's not a negative critical thing. It's just something to be aware of and to like um not let get in your way because it will if you let it. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, it's good advice.
That's a
Very
big
good
one
advice.
that I feel like kind of resonate, right? Like caught myself.
And it relates to something else too, like in terms of like playing too fast, like I've talked about is something I do wrong sometimes. Because when you're playing too fast and not taking the time to consider all your options, you're more likely to just fall back on that kind of like established habit that you're in. I
Yeah,
normally play this card this way or in this situation. And when you're just speed playing, you're going to miss opportunities to break out of that and play it in a different way that could give you an alternative path to winning the game that you didn't even see, like a different line, like you use that term. Like, really good advice.
I use the term line because that was the one I knew always. I didn't see that line.
Oh, it's
Line. Huh. No, I like that. And a lot of people, apparently, it's a that a lot of people use.
it is.
I thought
It's
it
a real
was a
thing, yeah.
very funny way to look at it. They're like, yeah, that. Then you watch anime like fucking for good Steins Gate talking about world lines, and you're like, oh,
I get it
it's
now.
all coming full circle. Yeah, just funny stuff.
I don't know how much use I'm going to be for much longer in terms of coherent thinking and speaking.
God, you've been useless this
But
whole time.
I think this has been some good content this night.
Yeah, some good advice. I think bit by bit. It's obviously
It's a
easy to sit.
process.
It's easy to sit and say all this stuff, and person that's trying forever. A lot of it boils down to time too. I don't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of
But
players that are good enough to have the top 10
however
card back. They
much
just don't have the fucking
yeah.
time to do it, guys. Like, it's not a big
Yep.
deal. At
And that there's
the end of the
nothing wrong
day,
with that. Nothing wrong with that
it
at
just
all.
means you have a real life and you have more of a real life than you have time to fucking spend on the game and life goals.
I consider
Cool.
it like I consider it like literally infinity times more of an accomplishment that like I have a wife and a son who love me and who I love and a family and friends and my social circle and a support system and all the things got going on in my life than like anything I've done in this game. Like,
Yeah, no, for real. Don't let, I'm not gonna say don't let the game ruin your life. Obviously, don't let it's a given, but like, don't let it like
well, yeah,
dictate how
I
you.
mean, don't tie your self worth into something like finishing top 10 in this game, right? Like,
Yeah,
you matter as a person intrinsically and have value outside of anything like that, like just for who you are. Like, um, and I could have told that to myself at times on my journey to doing it, but um, we all learn and grow and mature and develop, hopefully well into our later years.
yeah, the jury is still out for it.
Never too late, man. Never too late to stop playing Workshop.
Stop playing fucking money.
Oh, grody. Yuckers. It's never too late to like play your first non-Goblin Scout game in over 3.5 years.
Talk about Chris Topaz. Funny.
He's not the only one, but yes,
I was gonna say it's funny because like every time I matched him up until like just then was like he actually has been playing.
I know, I believe you. It's just funny that I always match him on that, like,
Funny you always match me on like move assassin.
right? It's like literally one of your probably lesser played decks, but it just so happens that way.
Yeah, at the moment, like
I was relieved, which sounds weird, that it was Ox instead of Move Assassin, even though I've lost to your Ox combo before at least once, if not twice. But I'd rather
well,
lose to that than like Move,
there will be more
TBH.
times. There
There will
there
be
will be
more
more times.
times. Uh, again, I would way rather lose to something cool like that than like, other things.
Well, move decks are cool too.
It's
You
like
just
you
don't.
you earned that
You do
win. You earned that win if you beat me that way. Like,
earn the win with move too. It's just the thing is like feels worse
I don't
because you
know
got out
about that.
aggroed. You got out aggroed, and you just don't. You can't handle that. Can't put your fucking big boy
Oh, is
pants
that
on
what it is?
and handle that you got out aggroed. That's all it is. Yes, seriously, you got out aggroed. You got
Hey, the
outgunned.
aggro that I play
You should have
doesn't
played a
doesn't
little bit more
rely on.
defensively, maybe.
There's no defending against the absolute busted like opening that
Sometimes you
move
sometimes you
sometimes
draw the
has.
nuts. Yeah, sometimes you draw the nuts. But sometimes you draw the nuts on fucking burn battle mage too. This would can't say one's worse than the other. How many times have you won on turn four?
I absolutely can say one is worse than the other.
How many times have you won on turn four with burn battle mage? I am curious.
A disgusting number of times.
Yeah, exactly. So shut your fucking mouth. It's just as
Yeah,
bad.
but
I don't
you
win on turn four
no
nearly as much
no
with
no
move
no 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 no
as I do
no.
with burn battle mage. No, seriously, seriously, seriously.
That's
Like
not what makes it
think about
like.
it. Think
That's
about
not
it.
what makes it overpowered. The ability to win on turn 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever isn't necessarily what makes something like overpowered,
Okay,
in
sure.
my opinion.
That's no, that's fine, and that's great, and that's something that we can discuss in another episode. Just saying, like the
True.
amount of like aggro and stuff like that, like that. Yeah, if move draws a good hand, they're gonna beat you quicker. It sucks, but add more silence or whatever. Like there's ways to tech around it, and there's mulligans to keep, and
If you draw it, yeah.
sometimes you just don't get the cards, and that's what we talked about
Yeah.
as well. Sometimes you just
Yep.
don't get the cards. It sucks, but hey, what can you
You got
next
to
game?
flush it mentally and just move
Yeah,
on.
next game. Okay. But yeah, no, I understand your hate for move. I used to hate move too. I used to think fucking bullshit. It really isn't. It's difficult to pilot too. Not necessarily. It's more difficult than your average aggro. Like I would say, if you're talking in terms of aggro
Probably, yeah.
decks, in your terms of aggro decks to play, move is definitely the hardest aggro deck, in my opinion. And I don't even think that's an opinion. Like I think that that's actually a widespread like thing. People actually do like agree. No, it's not like tokens. Tokens is literally go wide and swing face, and that's it. Move is like, okay, I have to make sure this guy has cover, this guy has cover, this guy's swinging. I have to swing before I attack, and then I have to move him to the shadow lane. Like you actually do have to think about it. You know what I mean? It's not like fucking, I have big creatures and I swing faith. Like It's not as easy as, some people make it look or whatever. It is
I
difficult.
suppose, but
Its
I do
own
think there's some
regard.
out. I think there's some outlier cards that are more busted than anything you'd find in a token aggro deck, like
Oh, you
Apex
think any
Predator
okay,
and
what's more
um.
busted than defensive Bruma? Tell me. What is more busted than
Well,
defensive Bruma? No, I'm waiting for a response. I
defensive
want you to
Bruma
tell
isn't.
me right now.
Defensive Bruma is not only an aggro token card, and it's not even the main buff that token decks use, which is either
Okay, yeah,
Divine
yeah,
Fervor
yeah,
or
because those token decks that you're talking about aren't in the top 10. The ones that I'm talking about are the ones that are top 10, the ones that actually will win a top 10 victory. And the top 10 victory token
defensive Bruma
decks,
is incredibly strong, but it's not just
it's
an aggro card. It has
ridiculously
a
strong.
place. It has a place in mid and control, I
Yeah, but that's not
think.
the point. That's what makes it an even more busted card. It's flexible. So tell me
Yeah, but we
again,
were
what
talking
card
about
is more busted than defensive Bruma in move? Bewildering speed.
the two cards that I think need to be looked at in move if there ever was like a balance pass by
The
someone
only
that
thing that needs to be discussed in terms of move is when creatures come down. In my opinion, this is definitely
we've
an
talked about
opinion
this.
thing.
Yeah, the fact that they're
Creatures can
never like
only get they can only get
right
cover
cover
once,
cover.
right?
Because
The,
yeah, you
the
can't
strength
even
in
fight
move
them then.
comes
Like
from it being able to abuse the cover. If you can abuse the
yes,
cover, then you playing move correctly. You're avoiding combat. That's what move is supposed to do.
but I
And
mean, when I'm
yeah,
talking about cards that I think are a little out of band, obviously cover isn't a card, so I didn't bring it up like in the
no, it's
same
yeah,
breath as like cards. I mean, that's just more of a mechanic thing, I guess. Like,
it is. No, it is.
but yes, I agree. That's the bigger problem of the two kind of problems with the archetype, in my opinion.
Yeah, you can't even fight the fucking creature that is going to be
Right.
swinging and killing you the next turn. Like, what the fuck is that? It's fucking bullshit, man. Like,
Yeah,
don't
it's
get me
like
wrong,
you're
it's
putting out
trash.
creatures that aren't as buffed up as quick, and you'd be willing to sacrifice them in order to take theirs down because maybe they have less health than they have power, like the 3/1. There's some Khajiits that are like 3/1 at least to start, so
A
you
lot
might
of
be
them
able to
are.
trade into them. Yeah,
Like, a lot of the move
but
ones are anyway.
they
Yeah,
always they always have cover, like so. R.I.P.
yeah, and that's why. Another thing is, guys, if you see anybody open up Shadowland with like Wordcrafter or some stupid shit, it's fucking move. All right, like, don't think twice. Definitely move. Get your pants on and get ready for ramen. Yeah,
bite the bite the pillow. We're going in dry.
yeah, bite the pillow. We're going in dry. I like that. That's something
And
I
on that
actually
note,
say. Don't
I
fucking make
will.
it play. Don't make it let it make you up though. At the above all else.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the worst of two evils. So I would
Yeah,
rather have you beat me with a move deck like 1,000 times before beat me with a Workshop Titan combo. Or Workshop
not.
anything combo, really.
It's a disgrace to call it a comp
Yeah, you're right. I did. What word should we use instead? Like,
in mechanic. It is what it is. At the end of the day, just weren't thinking when they made the card. Yeah, we can
it's a
do,
cool
do
concept, but
whatever it
yeah,
is
like it should have
with
gotten
twice.
some more
Yeah,
play
twice is
testing.
cool. Twice is cool. And like, yeah, no, we'll give it
And then
three
you have two of
charges,
them
and
up
they
at the
can
same
come out on
time.
turn
Yeah.
3. And it's like, oh, that leads right into Halls of the and fucking
You can also have
Dwarven
two of them
Dynamo
up
and all this other shit.
or three at the same time. Like,
Oh, yeah, sounds splendid. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, no, it does not.
huh. All right,
Yeah,
man. I
you
think
guys are
I'm
definitely
gonna sign off.
smoking rocks. Or
I'm gonna take my son to the Washington State Fair tomorrow, so
oh
I
yeah,
gotta try to get some sleep here.
tomorrow isn't like today.
Or t
Sun's up for you,
today,
so
sorry. No, yeah, it's already 2:23, so it is today, but it sounds weird saying today when I haven't slept yet.
all right, man. I'll
Good
talk to you
stuff
later.
though.
Eh?
Hopefully this will be helpful for some people, and if it's not like fully helpful, like I said, add us, and I and Aros, I think, also be more than willing to take time
Oh yeah,
to
no,
try to help
absolutely.
you get to your goal and achieve that.
I'm usually just messing around with some jank shit that I thought of like 30 seconds ago anyway. So Don't mind bugging me. Like I have all the time in the world. Especially like if I'm online, then feel free to ask me. Give me a hand. If I'm a little slow
Or we can
responding,
point
I'm either
you
in a game or I'm like a little cross with some happening on the ladder. But it's
right.
nothing to do with you guys asking me for questions or anything like that. Usually,
And if not,
it's
we can always point you to someone else or some other clan, whatever, that maybe can or is a better fit, whatever. There's a good community in this game, even to this day. So,
definitely
alrighty, man.
good to mention that. All right, man.
You
Take
have
her
a good
easy, eh?
rest of your night
Hopefully, you
and
have a good
stream.
little you know fun time with your son tomorrow.
We'll do, and we'll do her again next week.
Hopefully,
All right, man. Later.